I think we're live. Let's see. Oh, is Rumble down? No. Okay, cool. Let's get the chats pulled up. It's kind of amazing how 445 sneaks up on me every single day. I mean, kind of astonishing. But it's like, I mean, 445 rolls around and there's just more and more stuff. It's everything nobody wants to deal with today. Say, I will just drop this information and deal with it tomorrow. Thank you guys for that. Shout out. Let's see. Let's see here. What is the next step I need to take? I guess we'll just hop right into it. I didn't want to have today's drag out like it seems like it's going to, but I guess that's just what you all get today. Completely on the wrong page right now. Okay. All right. Let's just hop right into it. Hopefully this is working. It seems to be all right. There's also this fancy glow we've got. Collar is not collaring, but that's all right. That's all right. We'll just look rough today. That's unfortunate. Can we get something going on here? No. No. Just floppiness. Sounds good to me. All right. Today is Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. This is episode number 78 of Addressing the Issues, the Big 7-8. So, as I guess always nowadays, we'll hop in first with our coverage of the U.S.-Iran war, because this is so much fun to cover. But we should pull that up if I can find it. I guess I'm not gonna find it. Should have been prepared, guys. Should have been prepared. When did I see this? Wow. Okay. Okay, here we go. I have found it. We're back to Iran war coverage, per the usual. Last night, the U.S. dropped a high volume, reportedly, of 2,000-pound bunker busters, or GBU-31s, on an Iranian weapons depot at Badr Military Airport in Isfahan last night. It's believed by IAEA inspectors that Isfahan maintained roughly half of Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles. These attacks resulted in the cook-off of stored ammunition and multiple secondary explosions in the city. You can find this video on Donald Trump's Truth Social, actually. Rather large explosion, rather large secondary explosions, huge fireball. But yeah, if you want to see it, just go look at his most recent truths. I mean, I guess, you know, it is a win in a sense. This isn't the capture of this Iranian uranium, but it is, I believe the goal is to bury it under so much buried under so much rubble that they could no longer get to it or use it. Which, I mean, I guess it is a win in a sense. Pushing back this 2-week timer that Iran has had since the 90s, that they will have a nuclear bomb. I guess we're 3 weeks away now, probably. Instead of 2, we pushed them back an entire week. So it is good that this happened, I guess. It's a successful attack, finally. We've been waiting on something successful to come out of this, and I guess this is the first, hopefully, of many successful incidents in the war, attacks, operations. I guess the whole thing is just one operation. There was also bombings in Avad and Tehran. They were also recently struck. There was a evacuation order. Actually, it was a stay-in-place order for civilians. I don't know if I saw this little red box pop up that I would stay in the striking range of it. I'd probably try and leave, but that's just me. I don't feel like staying in my home during a bombing raid is probably the safest idea, but I guess if they tell you to stay put, you stay put, and whatever happens, happens. Kind of like how yesterday it was reported that bombs struck an orphanage in Tehran. This attack left 2 dead and 5 others injured, or reported dead. So it seems like the school is no longer an isolated incident. Apparently we have something against orphans now. Terrible that an orphanage would be struck in this war. Terrible that a school would be struck. I mean, I don't know, maybe the orphans were all terrorists. I mean, I don't know how you're going to explain this away at some point. First the school, hundreds, and now an orphanage. I mean, is the orphanage a terror cell? Probably not. Are they radicalizing orphans? Probably not, but I guess this is what they call the fog of war, where orphans get caught up in the crossfire, school children get caught up in the crossfire. Truly unfortunate situation. I guess pray for all these children, because apparently they are now the newest victims of war. It sucks. It really does. I wish I never had to share this news. It won't be shared on mass media, surely, because this is an entire success, this whole thing. No mess up so far, obviously. The school wasn't a mess up. This orphanage wasn't a mess up. I would beg to differ. The moment you start killing children in armed conflict, you have messed up, at least somewhere on the way. Sorry. Is my mic on? Yeah. Okay. But we'll move on from this tragic incident to more coverage of this war that continues. It just continues 4 days on to 4 weeks. Now we're on the 5th week. 2 weeks to stop the spread or whatever. 4 days the level Iran. I don't know anymore. President Trump told aides that he is willing to end the U.S. war against Iran, even if the Strait of Hormuz remains significantly closed or shut entirely. This is a disaster in the making, especially with the price of gas. I'll talk about that later. There's new data on that, which is rather alarming. But apparently we're willing to get out with the Strait of Hormuz closed. It doesn't directly impact our supply of oil, I guess, in the short term. It just creates a shortage for Asia, eventually Europe. But right now it won't affect us. It just will affect the price. We'll still have it. We'll be paying a bajillion dollars to fill up our car, but I guess that some of you may die and be broke, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Thank you, Lord Farquaad, for that. This comes with reports in recent days that Trump has become bored with the war in Iran. I don't know how you get into a war and then decide within a couple of weeks you become bored of it, that you'd rather focus elsewhere. I believe it was claimed that he would rather focus on Cuba. If you're going to get bored with a war, why would you ever get into it in the first place? Obviously, you're not in it for the right reasons. Typically, wars are fought for conquest, not because you want to short-term entertainment value. I guess your entertainment value is sending American soldiers to die in faraway, distant lands. Maybe your entertainment value is eliminating children, which is terrible, deeply disturbing if that's the case. But I guess it does fall into the theme of the year, which is, children are expendable. Look into the Epstein files for that. I don't know, it's just dark and twisted. All of this stuff is demonic even. That children are an acceptable cause for war in the first place, which is, so disturbing there's no words in the English language for it. To insinuate that and then to say, oh, I'm getting bored of it. What gets you off? What are you thinking? If there is a reason to go to war, there is no reason that boredom is the deciding factor at the end of the day. Really frustrates me. We've sacrificed American citizens for this already, and you're bored now. Bored. And through this boredom, you're willing to shut off 20%, up to 30% of the global energy supply because you're bored. I guess this really it gives some possibility, a hint of truth to the guerrilla channel rumors at the White House. If you're not familiar with that, that's what I was pulling up at the beginning. There's an excerpt from a book. The author's name is Wolf. It says, let me see, can I find a better way to pull this up? On his first night in the White House, President Trump complained that the TV in his bedroom was broken because it didn't have the Gorilla channel. Trump seemed to be under the impression that a TV channel existed that screened nothing but guerrilla-based content 24 hours a day. To appease Trump, White House staff compiled a number of guerrilla documentaries into a makeshift guerrilla channel, broadcast into Trump's bedroom from a hastily constructed transmission tower on the South Lawn. However, Trump was unhappy with the channel they had created, moaning it was boring because the guerrillas aren't fighting. Staff edited out all the parts of the documentaries where guerrillas weren't hitting each other, and at last the president was satisfied. On some days, he'll watch the Gorilla channel for 17 hours straight, an insider told me. He kneels in front of the TV with his face about 4 inches from the screen and says encouraging things to the gorillas, like the way you hit that other gorilla was good. I think he thinks the gorillas can hear him. Even if you make that up, that is top-tier comedy, first of all. Second of all, if you're getting bored with a war that you started, you're playing right into the Gorilla Channel rumors. I'm sorry, but, apparently he likes watching military strikes as well. Maybe those got boring. They weren't, fiery enough for him or something, that he gets bored of it. I guess now we're probably understanding why we're getting these propaganda films out of the White House interlacing NFL hits with bombings, because apparently people, use this for entertainment value. Allegedly. The guerrilla channel is alleged, but my goodness, it makes a lot of sense right now. I mean, there's probably now a hastily constructed transmitter giving Iran war coverage, but it's just the biggest explosions of the Iran war. I mean, it could be the truth. I mean, it could be happening, and that's scary. It's like Iran war's greatest explosions, 24 hours a day, pumped in the Trump's office. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it at this point. I guess that's a good way to not get bored with it. Watch the same explosions, killing people on loop. I don't want to imagine that. But, yeah, we're willing to get out now, even if the Strait of Hormuz remains closed or shut, partially closed, shut, and then now we're bored. Might as well just turn on the Gorilla channel. In other news, the USS George H.W. Bush has left Norfolk, Virginia, headed for the Middle East. It's expected to replace the Gerald R. Ford. As I've previously reported, it suffered a laundry fire, disabling it. Disabling the ship. I believe it's at least 12 months it'll spend in Crete. At least. I've heard longer reports, 14 months, 18 months, that it'll be out of service due to this laundry fire. They must have let the lint stack up pretty good if you're going to have a laundry fire that takes out a boat for at least 12 months. But it is being replaced by the George H.W. Bush, and that's on its way currently. There's also reports that the Pentagon is readying for a possible weeks-long ground raids in Iran using special forces, infantry, Marines. In response to this action, Israel said that it will give intelligence, as I reported yesterday, but will not provide boots on the ground for operations in Iran. They cite fatigue of soldiers over the Palestinian conflict. But it seems that we will get intelligence from them. This sounds like an absolute death trap. At least from the intelligence we normally get. We're going to be walked into a quagmire filled with missiles. But I guess, that is a sacrifice we are willing to make as Lord Farquaad. I don't know, I shouldn't compare President Trump to Lord Farquaad, but it's getting to a point that it's just like, we need to correct course. I don't know what's going to do it. Maybe I'll have to make a guerrilla channel myself with like the better fights and programming in the background, subliminal messaging to stop this. Maybe that's the only way at this point, but yeah, apparently we're going to go in, allegedly. We're preparing for it at least. Every time we prepared for something so far, it eventually happens. This could be a way to throw off the Iranians, maximal pressure, but I don't know. I think the maximal pressure is on us from Israel at this point, and we're just going to do what they say with their intelligence. I mean, if we have something of our own that says otherwise, we'll probably just listen to them instead, because apparently we are just that inept or something, inept to conduct our own intelligence, apparently, at least from what we've seen, even though it normally gets us better results than if we listen to other countries. I mean, I don't know. I think we should probably trust ourselves more than another sovereign nation, but that's just me. I mean, especially with decision making like this, if your gut tells you to not do it and somebody else tells you to do it, and you do it, you're just dumb. You're stupid. And I think we're going to play into the dumb American card, dumb American stereotype rather quickly here. Other countries have completely abandoned this, especially in Europe, and probably won't face the same consequences we're going to face at the end of this. One, being broke. Two, whatever international criminal court actually does, nobody knows. But we'll probably be there. We'll probably be there spending our tax dollars on some show trial in Europe. After we spend our tax dollars to feed the military-industrial complex, leaving us entirely broke and possibly ruining the petrodollar at the same time. Which will be cool, I guess. We'll have some recession that makes the Great Depression look like a spending spree. Disturbing stuff. But I guess alongside the international order, a human rights diplomat, Mohammed Safa, resigned from his position, UN Human Rights Council, accusing the international organization of preparing to use nuclear weapons in Iran. Not good. Probably not good. When one country in this modern era uses a nuclear weapon, everybody else feels like they can as well. You don't want to okay that behavior. It will cause a lot of destruction, not just at the location of the use of nuclear weapons, but there is the alleged nuclear winter that would come after, where there's so much junk in the air, the sun doesn't even come out anymore. Crops die, animals die, humans die, and it's just not something that should be acceptable. In this resignation, some people call it fake news, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Propaganda, I believe is what they're calling it. It seems to have a lot more truth than it does propaganda value. I guess it makes the U.S. and Israel look terrible, that they would even consider, but it also is disturbing that everybody on Earth is also preparing for this same scenario, meaning that they also are, by association, almost as guilty, just as guilty, honestly. But this should be alarming, that if the world is preparing for use of nuclear weapons, it's not gonna be good for you, whether you be hit or you survive the initial impacts and the food runs out, because that'll also suck. Starving, famine, not good stuff, not good things, guys. But we'll move on. Senator Chris Coons went on the television and claimed that President Trump wanted to negotiate with Larijani, a senior leader of the Iranian government, but Israel assassinated him. Guys, this has happened every time the U.S. identifies someone to negotiate with who they believe they can negotiate with. That's why the U.S. has become tight-lipped as to who they are negotiating with at the time, because I believe even the president has acknowledged every time that they get into negotiations with someone, the Israelis kill them. I don't know whether that be Mossad, a drone strike. However, they all just end up dying when you try and negotiate with Iran. Puts us in a rather difficult situation, often, way too often. Especially if you do want to get out, and the person you are negotiating with to get out in favorable terms just magically dies. It's been like this since the beginning of the war. We were in negotiations with Ayatollah Khomeini, and then the 40 top people die on day one. We start identifying others who we think we can talk with. They die. How long can this go on? Well, I guess as long as Israel wants it to. I guess that's your answer. We're just, a vassal state of a small Middle Eastern nation. Kind of cool if you think about it, I guess. That we've been completely, in a sense, conquered from within through decision making, through intelligence, because I guess we don't know how to think for ourselves. Let's just turn on the Gorilla Channel. All right, I'll stop making Gorilla Channel jokes, but that's just too crazy that somebody even wrote that. I mean, even if it's fake, it's a crazy spew. There's also news that Iran's president says that Iran is ready to end the war if they receive security guarantees from the U.S., I guess the Middle Eastern cooperation, Arabic cooperation. Unfortunately for this news, Iran's president holds little to no power in making such decisions. So I guess, he could say, yeah, give us security guarantees, we'll end the war, and the IRGC continues to strike American bases in the Middle East, American ships, our allies in the Gulf. I mean, apparently I guess their president can say what he wants. He has more of a ceremonial position in this sense. The power is held by others. But this did create a momentary spike in the stock market. Let's see what that's at right now. Apparently, the stock market heard that news and everybody was hype and said, oh, this is great. Oh, it's up 2.5% today. That's pretty awesome. When they find out that this dude can't make these decisions, I believe it drops back down. But it'll also drop back down because we're making terrible decisions at home. So, yeah. That's just the way it is these days. There's also news that Iran has designated 18 companies, I believe 16 U.S. companies, terrorist organizations, making them legitimate targets during this war. These companies include Cisco, HP, Intel, Oracle, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Meta, IBM, Dell, Palantir, NVIDIA, JP Morgan, Tesla, General Electric, Spire Solutions, which is a UAE cybersecurity service provider, G42, which is another UAE artificial intelligence company, and Boeing. So I guess if you see small attacks on these companies, on their production, on their even headquarters, you can probably assume that these are the alleged sleeper cells. I hope that these sleeper cells don't have access to, 16 of the most popular, or not popular, but powerful companies in the U.S., but I wouldn't put it past them. This is asymmetric warfare at its finest. You go in and you infiltrate. And then through this, you have access to things and you are able to do things others wouldn't be able to. Unfortunately, one of these is terrorism. So be on the lookout for attacks on such companies, especially a whole bunch of small ones in rapid succession trying to disrupt supply chains, disrupt management. I don't think it'll be one big one on one of these companies. If you see one big one, it'll be civilian terror. And I don't even think that would be Iran. I think that would be the false flag, kind of like 9/11, to push the public sentiment, the rally around the flag. Sentiment, I guess. Rally around the flag. I don't even know what to call it. The support, to increase support for this Iran war. But like I said, if you see it small scale, covert ones, I'd assume it's Iranian. What do they call them? I just said the word. Iranian sleeper cells. If you see one big one, it's probably not Iran. It's probably something much more sinister, kind of like 9/11. And I think that's what they're going for in the deep state, to further this war, further destroy American power, get us into this Iranian quagmire that we see no way out of, truly. There's also more news regarding this. The journalist, which was assaulted in Israel's West Bank working for CNN, actually the whole CNN journalism team was assaulted during reporting on this war. They actually received accountability, believe it or not, from the Israeli government. The entire battalion was suspended and sent back for training within 48 hours. The soldier, which bragged about revenge and helping illegal outposts, was removed from the military, the IDF, and the soldier who attacked CNN's cameraman is under military police investigation. Now, whether that investigation will result in anything whatsoever, only time will tell. But in an interesting moment, CNN also pointed out the speed and scope of this accountability, and how this accountability rarely happened in similar incidences to Palestinian journalists that experienced the same treatment. The, I guess, luxury of having a American journalist pass as opposed to a Palestinian one gets you different results in Israel. I believe you should probably treat all human equal, but in some countries we all know that's not the case. I guess probably in most of the countries around the world. It's what makes America so special. We're all treated equally. You can say that we aren't. You're lying to yourself. We are. We're all treated equally here. It's what makes America the greatest country in the world. It truly is. I guess in further example of this, yesterday, Israeli National Security Minister Ben-Gvir was seen pouring drinks in celebration outside of the Knesset chamber, where he celebrated the passing of the death penalty law for Palestinian detainees. He described this law as historic, and that soon they, referring to Israel, or we, referring to Israel, will count them one by one, referring to Palestinians receiving the death penalty under this new law. First of all, I'm going to say this isn't somebody you want to associate with if this is law there. This is actions in which they celebrate. And I'm also not going to say, who or what, but we've been told this has happened in history once before. Very disturbing consequences for humanity. And now it is being once again normalized. Disturbing stuff. That is one of the most disturbing laws, actually the most disturbing law I've ever seen in my lifetime. And yet, this is who we have chosen to be our friends. We need to pick better friends, guys. We're not being treated equally. The ruling class absolutely receives special treatment. I guess, in a sense, yes. Everybody below the ruling class is treated equally, though. You're not treated differently based on the color of your skin, whether you're a boy or a girl, believe it or not. Actually, I'd argue men are treated worse than women in our society, but that's a story for a different time. I guess you are right in the sense that the people in power do have different different standards. I guess you can tell by the pardoning of the criminal. I believe he stole $39 million or something like that, was pardoned the day by Trump. So yes, there is I guess two tiers in that sense, but for everybody else, us silly little stupid people that are wage slaves, we all get treated equally. I mean, you can argue however you want to, but I mean, we are. I mean, it doesn't matter, boy, girl, color of your skin, what sexuality you are anymore. I mean, we're all treated equally. I'd argue that there is a second tier we are the second tier. The top tier are those that have the money, have the power, and they never face accountability for their actions, and it doesn't matter what color they are, what ethnicity they are, I mean, what gender they are. If they have power, they don't face accountability. This is your Epstein class. But yeah, I guess you are right in that sense. There is two tiers. There is the Epstein class, and there are us stupid little wage slaves that are treated differently. But we let the goyim compete in the real world while we handle all the money. Everybody remembers that email. We let them battle it out. That was fun. That's cool. We're just silly little goyim battling it out in the real world. Let's see. There's also great news out of Israel, depending on how much you want to believe it. Benjamin Netanyahu has announced a global coalition to support Christian communities. This was announced, I believe, last night. This looks like damage control for the Palm Sunday fiasco, which he blocked Catholics from celebrating Palm Sunday at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I think my advice, if he wants to lead this global coalition to support Christian communities, is that he should probably start in Israel. I think that would be a great place for him to start, with news coming out just a little over a week ago. During the time of this war, the last fully Christian town in the West Bank, Taybeh, once again experienced incursions from Israeli settlers, having their homes stolen by these settlers, being assaulted by these settlers. It'd be a great place to start there in this global coalition to support Christian communities. Maybe you just start at home and then you can work your way out. You know, you can start by prosecuting people for assaulting Christians in your own country. Great place to start, probably. I mean, but you've also got to consider that Israel's new buddy, Syria, the leader that once led ISIS, who now, I mean, in the last, I think, 72 hours has allowed Israel to attack Lebanon through Syrian borders. Syria also is now allowing the systemic killing of Christians in its borders, so maybe he should go next door and say, hey, knock it off, stop killing Christians, if he actually means this supporting Christian communities thing. Because, I mean, as much as you want to hate Assad, he didn't put up with the systemic killing of Christians like the new ISIS leader that is now the president of Syria does. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to have to see it to believe it, especially in this case. Everything points that Christian communities mean nothing. This is just mean nothing to Benjamin Netanyahu. This is just a good PR moment after a terrible one on Sunday where he denied Catholics the freedom to worship their religion in their church. I don't know. I guess it's time for the 3-state solution where you stick a whole bunch of angry crusaders in the middle and let them control Jerusalem. I think it could work really well. You put Jews on one side, Christian crusaders in the middle, and then the Muslims on the other. And it'll all be solved just like that. I mean, it really would. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. But there are more stories on attacks on Christianity. I don't know how prominent this story has been in the traditional news, but the Chicago Bulls, NBA team, has waived Jaden Ivey for his Christian views. This is also known as conduct detrimental to the team. His Christian viewpoint is considered conduct detrimental to the team to the point where he was waived, kicked off the team, no more contract. This comes after a 45-minute rant on Instagram in which the quote included quotes such as, "They proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month to celebrate unrighteousness." He also said that the Pistons aren't going to save you on Judgment Day. Both, I would argue, were very true statements. People are now calling him crazy, needs to be institutionalized for proclaiming his faith on Instagram. Resulted in the loss of his job. I believe we do have freedom of religion in this country. I guess not all rules or laws are done the same way. I guess you're right. We're not treated equally. The ruling class has something, and then Christianity is just persecuted beyond belief here. Because I thought you had the freedom to celebrate Jesus, to worship freely in this country. I guess unless you're a Christian saying that Pride Month is unrighteous and that the Pistons aren't going to save you on Judgment Day. Both true statements. I mean, I watched a lot of this, and I thought he was in a reasonable state of mind. He just was mad at the state of the NBA, in which they push this stuff, and plenty of Christians have come out to back him. I believe the people attacking him are likely atheists, possibly Satanists. But there has been lots of support from both NBA and NFL players for him, because he was just, saying what the Bible said, essentially. Very true statements. Pride Month in the sense, pride is a sin in itself, but Pride Month is unrighteous. It goes against his Christian faith. And also, I hope you don't pray that the Pistons save you on Judgment Day, because they won't. The only way you'll be saved is through Jesus. I guess we'll get to that at the end of today. The good news, as we like to call it. But it's kind of crazy how you can go online, proclaim your faith, call out evil in the world, and then in the end you are slandered as having lost your mind, have your job taken away from you, possibly his entire career. I don't know. I'm now his biggest fan of whatever team he goes to next. Might get the jersey, because everything he said was true, and now he's slandered as being crazy, that he should be institutionalized. I guess that is the end goal with Christians. They want to institutionalize all of us and persecute us. They will hate you because of me. Matthew 10:22. It is the truth. You will be persecuted. It is. I've never found a truer book than the Bible. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, don't watch the Chicago Bulls. Boycott the Chicago Bulls. That's the new operation. Don't give them any. I don't know. Nobody even watches the NBA anymore anyways, because of crap like Pride Month, crap like pushing this agenda down everybody's throats. They never got mad at Steve Kerr for saying that the government is murdering civilians. Never any consequence for that. There's also, I mean, you don't even have consequences for if you beat your wife and kids. But the line is proclaiming Jesus Christ as King. Crazy stuff out of the NBA. If you want to look into who owns the majority of it, go ahead and you'll be surprised. Actually, you probably won't even be. We'll move on. There is new drama in the Charlie Kirk trial. This is with the bullet fragment recovered during the autopsy of Charlie Kirk was deemed inconclusive compared to the rifle, according to the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. The defense has been working to block further forensic tests, such as chemical testing, which could prove that this is actually part of the bullet. The whole thing is a huge mess. So many failures by so many agencies on this. Even Joe Kent called this out recently. I thought we'd not talk about him anymore, but he even called this out. It's kind of crazy that the only way that you could actually prove this, the defense is saying, oh, we don't, I mean, I guess it's not crazy. They want him to be not guilty. But blocking tests that would actually prove that this is the bullet, I guess that is the goal of the defense, but that needs to be done. It needs to be either proven that it is or it isn't, if you do want to see justice in this case. Another interesting point is the only other prominent legal case that involves a .30-06 bullet shattering to the point in which it could not be traced back to the original murder weapon was in the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Kind of crazy how the only ones that this bullet shatters in are cases related to murder of, I would call, highly prominent political activists, highly effective political activists. There you go. We got it out. I guess, if this happened in somebody's backyard in Alabama, it wouldn't make world news, but it's kind of crazy how this has happened twice now. I don't know, maybe the bullets are made of glass or something. I don't know. It's all going to be played out in the courts. The preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 18th. I'm sure a lot of America will be tuning into that. We need to figure out what happened here, whether it be just Tyler Robinson being a lone, mentally deranged person on many different levels, or if even other governments are involved. What has been alleged by many people, including Joe Kent, that they were stopped many times along the way, cut off investigations into foreign influence into this murder. I don't know why you would cut off the investigation 24 hours in when you still have leads. It should have been fully investigated, yet now we're half a year's gone by. I mean, everybody's been able to clean up all their evidence now, probably. Well, I mean, I don't know what they even think of this. There were so many failures along the way, and I guess we're just supposed to accept it. Yeah, I mean, just the whole story at this point. We should have done better. Charlie deserved better, and this is what we've got. I mean, we've got a deep state mess once again. The same thing he hated. I don't think he hated it. He despised it for sure. The same thing he despised the deep state seems to have its arms all around this. I mean, FBI gets out there late. The whole mystery regarding how he got the jail. I mean, I don't know. Disturbing stuff. Fishy people surrounding Turning Point USA as well. We'll see how this case plays out. I don't know. We need answers. We need the truth. I hope we get the truth. We'll leave it at that. There's also some other interesting news stories. One regarding our friends in the Great White North. Alberta has reached the 177,000. I'm having a stroke over here. 177,000 signature threshold necessary to trigger an independence referendum on October 19th of this year. The U.S. could do the funniest thing and recognize them as an independent nation as soon as they hold this, and absolutely screw over the communists in Canada, which I think we should. If we can get them to fall apart this easily and benefit from it, distancing them from the Chinese Communist Party, who they become butt buddies with, I mean, it's a huge win. Alberta, there's also talks of Saskatchewan going next. I mean, you could just, half Canada in a couple of years and then force the communists out. I mean, how beautiful would that be? That is Monroe Doctrine right there. That is our hemisphere, and we should be in control of it. Sorry, Canada. I don't know if I have any Canadians in here. If my buddy Gavin finds this, love you, Gavin, but get ready to learn American. Real interesting story. Hopefully they vote yes to secede and the U.S. takes full advantage of it. Would be a beautiful thing. There's also the Artemis 2 crewed launch to circumnavigate the moon. That is scheduled for tomorrow. The 2-hour launch window opens at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time. This is from the Kennedy Space Center. The countdown clock has already started. It's ticking right now. You can find a live stream of it on the internet. You can see the clock's ticking. Looks like we're going back to the moon. At least circumnavigating at this time. Landing on the moon at a later date. I believe that's Artemis 4 or 5, which will do that. Space race is back on. Kind of neat. Pray that, everything works out with this launch, that they complete their mission and get to return home safely. Space is a rather dangerous place, guys. You really don't know what's out there either. It's kind of neat. I don't know if anybody's ever been to the dark side of the moon, but they will get to experience that, so that'll be kind of cool. I hope they enjoy it. We'll get pictures on X. That's gonna be so funny. Now, the first time they're calling the astronauts on a landline, allegedly, to the moon. If you can explain the landline to the moon to me, be my guest. But now now we can expect live social media updates from the backside of the moon this time. How cool would that be? You just get a picture and you see the little section of the world you're in. You're like, hey, I'm in that picture, kinda. You just got to zoom in really hard. So neat. But yeah, pray for their success, their safety. This is an awesome moment in American history and some of the darkest moments we have ever been a part of, truly. I love America, man. I love America, but my goodness, we have some silly flaws that we could fix in 20 minutes if somebody actually tried. Make sure you guys are dropping a like, sharing this episode, subscribing on YouTube, following on Rumble, following on Kick. If anybody wants to be my unpaid intern, the show makes Like, no money whatsoever. It runs negative every single time. But if you'd like to be an unpaid intern and help me out with clipping, shorts, stuff like that, get in contact with me. I would really appreciate that. I will write you a stellar review to your next employer if you are willing to sacrifice the time and effort towards the goals of this program, which is actually making America great again. MAGA, actually make America great again. It's the first time we've done everything but that. I mean, everything but that. Did I even talk about that one? Did I tell you guys that asylum requests have been paused? Or the paused asylum requests were restarted yesterday? I think I said that. Huge news, we were told. No more immigration, mass deportations, and now we're renewing or restarting asylum requests in the middle of this Iran war. Here comes the refugees, baby. Here comes the refugee crisis. I think I missed that somehow. But yeah, if anybody wants to help me out with this show a little bit, with clipping, with editing short videos, get in contact, send me a DM on X, send me an email. I don't even need a resume. Just say like, hey, I want to help out. Get in contact with me. I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I mean, and I will write you the greatest review of all time to your next employer. But yeah, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, that whole good bit. It's always good to talk with you guys in the chat. Always good to just have you in the chat in general. I appreciate you guys that show up day in and day out. But let's talk about the good news today. The best news of the day. They've never had news like this. The best news. News so good. They'd call it great. They've got to stop. That's awful. We are in Mark chapter 11, verses 27 through 33. This is the authority of Jesus when he was questioned by those in the last days. He said, when he was questioned by those in Jerusalem whether he had the authority. This is what it says. It says, they arrived again in Jerusalem, and while Jesus was walking in the temple of courts, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders came to him. By what authority are you doing these things, they asked, and who gave you authority to do this? Jesus replied, I will ask you one question. Answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I am doing these things. John's baptism, was it from heaven or from men? Tell me. They discussed it among themselves and said, if we say from heaven, he will ask, then why didn't you believe him? But if we say from men, they feared the people, for everyone held that John really was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, we don't know. Jesus said, neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things. Jesus is the greatest authority, everyone. There is no greater authority on this earth or in heaven than Jesus. It's really important to realize that, especially with these attacks on Christianity going on in the world, whether it be from the NBA to Taybeh. I mean, all across the world right now, from the U.S. to the Middle East to Asia to Africa, you name it, Christians are being persecuted. But remember, who is the greatest authority? Who gives you salvation is Jesus Christ himself, the most important authority. You don't have to have an answer to men. You just need to have an answer on Judgment Day to God. That is the most important. So don't let men justify your actions. Let Jesus be the authority in your life. That is the most important news I have for you today, is that you need to let Jesus into your heart and be your authority. And yeah, it's as simple as that. You don't have to worry about answering to men. You have to worry about breaks right then. That's kind of a neat time for it to happen, isn't it? Isn't that just perfect timing? Let's see if it comes back up. Is it working? I think we're back. Yeah. I was almost done, but of course it happens during that time. What I was saying is, don't let your authority be determined by men. The authority is determined by Jesus Christ himself. Give glory to him. Realize that he will be the one who decides on Judgment Day. It won't be a government. It won't be a president, a prime minister. It won't even be the Detroit Pistons. It'll be Jesus himself determining, have you honored me? Have you listened to my teachings? Have you given your life to me, my cause? That's the most important thing at the end of this. It's not how much money you accumulate, how prestigious your career is, whether you got to play professional sports or not, whether you became president or not. None of that's going to matter. What matters is, have you given authority over your life to Jesus? That's the big question I'll leave you with. Have you given your life, the authority of your life, over to Jesus Christ himself? We'll end it there, but think on that. It's the only thing that's going to matter at the end. It's not going to matter what money you got, how much power you held. What matters is what happens on Judgment Day. We'll end it there. Once again, make sure you guys are dropping a like. Share the broadcast, share the channel. I try and make these better. Get in contact with me if you want to be my unpaid intern. Unpaid keyword, because there is no money to go around over here. There's not even money to do this, but that's why we work on the weekends, baby. Yeah, that's all I've got for today. So I'm gonna sign off. Let y'all think on that question, whether you've given authority of your life over to Jesus. And we'll be back tomorrow at 4:45. Hopefully on time. Today I was late. Sorry about that. But hopefully we'll be on time tomorrow. So to my people on the East Coast, I hope you get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon.